I hope you guys didn't hear that buzzing on my phone. We are, as I get this steady, getting the remnants of Hurricane Ida. So I'm in Pennsylvania. It's not disastrous here, but we are experiencing flash flooding. So right as I came live, of course, the National Weather Service buzzed my phone to tell me that it's flooding outside as I look and I see 2 inches of water running down my street. So I do apologize if anybody heard that horrible noise. I sure hope not. But it looks like we are live, looks like we are here. So as always, as people start to come in, I am going to pull this live up on my computer so that we can interact. Oh goodness gracious, let's turn that volume off so there's not a double noisiness here. Good to go. All right, so hello everybody. I'm gonna give you a little peek at what we're doing today. Here's my card that I made using the new Brutus Monroe designer toner sheet mixables. I love this idea of mixing different patterns in one pack. So I used a toner sheet on this Christmas card from both the Floral Fantasy set as well as the Really Radiant toner sheet set. And I used, there's 2 new colors of Brutus Monroe foils, and these are really pretty. You'll see when I take them out of the packaging that they have a really fun texture to them. I'm just going to wait just a bit so that people can get in, because I know that there is a little bit of a lag time from when my phone says that I'm live to when everybody actually gets the notification that we are live. So while we get started, why don't I go through the new release? I'll set this card aside. That's what we're going to be making today. Like I said, 2 new foils, pewter ripples and copper ripples. And they have this fun holographic sheen to them. Let's see if I can pull one of each out. I'm sorry for that crinkling. I hate that crinkle noise. I should have thought to take one out of the packaging before we started, but I didn't. So here's the copper, and you can there we go. You can see that. Ignore my face in the reflection, but you can see here that fun design texture that you're going to get from that foil. Let's look at the pewter again. I'm sorry for the crinkle noise. I'll pull one of these out. And these are really pretty colors for the upcoming seasons and holidays. Like this one's like a, well, pewter, like you know, a dark silver color, and then there's copper. I got it stuck on my tape. There we go. Good thing foil is durable. Jackson, baby. Oh, we had school today, and of course, like I mentioned at the very beginning of the video, we have the remnants of Hurricane Ida coming through. So there is no outside cool-off period during school. It's just crazy. So there's the 2 new foils. Set those to the side. And then here are the new toner sheets. So this toner sheet release is a little bit different. There are 4 patterns and there's 2 sets. So a total of 8 new patterns. And they're going to be in full 8.5 by 11 size and then A2 card front size. So perfect for whatever kind of crafting that you're doing. The A2 size is a little bit scaled down, as you can see here. This is 8.5 by 11. Much bigger scale and size than the card front. So when I saw this, I immediately thought of a countdown to Christmas, like an advent calendar type thing. I think it would make a really fun background, and I think it would be really fun to just maybe die cut little hinged circles that you can just open up, and you'd have this fun little kind of countdown background and create a fun holiday countdown to Christmas for that. So these first 4 patterns are going to be from the Really Radiant toner sheet pack. So there's 4 designs. There's this little numbers. Look at these speech bubbles. Super cute. This is great for back to school. My son is 5. He's starting school for the first time. He's going to kindergarten. So I've been working hard to create little cards to put in his lunchbox every day. And I think this is going to make a really fun background. Look at these. This is perfect because these remind me of so many different things. Sunflowers, little starbursts. I used them today in the back of my Christmas tree because I thought they almost looked like lights. So really, possibilities are endless for this one. And then there's these rainbows. I love these wonky abstract rainbows. This would be perfect to foil with the Rainbow Stars Brutus Monroe foil. That would be really pretty. Okay, so now let's move into the Floral Fantasy patterns. Again, 4 of these, so 2 different packs, 4 patterns in each one. So that's why they're called mixables. So here's one, just this basic kind of leaf, viney leaf pattern, but really pretty. And then this one reminded me of it's not a bough, I don't think, if it's just a single branch of a pine tree, but that's what it reminded me of, like a little evergreen branch. Look at those wildflowers. They are so pretty. And then, of course, these little, kind of a more, I don't want to say vine, but kind of viney. So there's all 8 patterns. So remember, 4 different packs, or 4 patterns in 2 packs. And then the same patterns are repeated in 8.5 by 11 on a larger scale. Check that out. Super, super fun. I love how big that one is. And then those rainbows. And then moving into the Floral Fantasy. Same patterns, just bigger. Really pretty. So that's what's new from Brutus Monroe in the ThermOWeb shop. I'm going to pull out the pattern that I need. We're going to be working with this one today. And I'll set the rest of these to the side. And we're going to be using the Copper Ripple. So I'll keep that foil out and set the rest to the side. Okay, so here's our card. For those of you who are kind of popping in, this is what I'm going to be creating today, is this cute little shaker card using some new products from Brutus Monroe. So I'll set that right up here. Let's go ahead and do our foiling first. I already have my laminator heating up off to the side. I am using a Royal Sovereign laminator. I have found that that works the best. I've only ever used 2. I've used this one and a Scotch laminator. Scotch laminator worked okay, but I found that sometimes I would have to foil multiple times. The Royal Sovereign is definitely a good machine, but I always encourage you to use what you have in your craft room. I'm also going to be using another pattern of toner sheet. So this one is from the Floral Fantasy. And then I'm going to be using this one from the Really Radiant pack. You can see here I already used this pattern, but there's a whole other side here that I'm going to be able to use. Here's what I'm using for my shaker card. This is the Brutus Monroe, let's see, Evergreen Builder standalone die set. I wanted to make sure I said that right. So Evergreen Builder. Let's see. Let's open this up and we'll get started. I'm going to die cut before I do my foiling. You can do it after, it really doesn't matter. But I'm going to go ahead and die cut this guy first. So let me grab my machine. And we'll just die cut that. I'm using the largest die right now. I'll be using other dies in a bit. So I'm just going to kind of arrange this because I'm going to be foiling. There's a little bit of tack on there. So I want to make sure that that pattern, I'm showing as much of that pattern as possible. I'm just going to die cut that largest tree. Set that off. So there's our little tree. That's going to be the backer to our shaker card. I'm going to move this off to the side here. You can dress up these toner sheets in a variety of different ways, and I've shown a variety of different ways to ink these up. You can do Copic markers, ink blending, which is what I'm going to do today, but you can do watercoloring. I've even used my gel press with inks and created like a gel press print on here. I'm going to, like I said, just do some ink blending. So I'm going to grab some red inks. I have a dark red and then kind of a lighter red. And I'm going to start with my dark. And I do want to mention, as I'm ink blending, you can add your color before or after you foil. It does not matter. I've done both. I've experimented with both. I've shown both live on camera. You can do it either way. It doesn't matter. For some reason, and I don't know why, I tend to add color before I foil. So I'm going to go ahead and go in with the dark there. I kind of got a little lopsided, but that's okay. And then I'll bring my lighter color in at the middle. And that's just going to create a nice little highlight somewhere nice for my tree to sit. Okay, so that was easy ink blending. The good thing about these toner sheets is that there's kind of a slick coating on the paper, so I feel like it takes media really well. Like Copics glide across here, and so does ink blending. I'm going to wipe this up before I have any accidents transferring ink where I don't want it to go. And then here's one of my biggest recommendations for foiling, whether you have done a coloring technique or not. So I have two panels here. This one I colored, this one I did not. I am going to take a clean cloth. This is just what I mean, it looks dirty. It is clean because I clean ink off of my stamps with these microfiber cloths. You can use a Swiffer cloth, whatever you have, something that's not going to leave lint. So I don't recommend like a tissue or something or a paper towel because they leave those little pieces behind. But before I do any foiling, I like to just give my toner sheets a quick wipe down. And that helps remove, you know, any extra little things that may be on there from the manufacturing process, or because I have a lot of dust in my house. That's one of the chores that gets left behind. So, and especially if you have done a coloring technique like ink blending or watercoloring, sometimes you have excess ink sitting on top. So think of this as a resist technique. So, you know, when you do ink blending over heat embossing or watercoloring over heat embossing, sometimes you have a little bit of stuff left behind. That happens to the toner too. So you want this toner, that's what's going to react with the foil. You want that to be nice and clean on both an ink blended piece and a non-ink blended piece. Now let's foil them. I am going to be using Deco Foil parchment paper as my carrier sheet. These are, sorry again for the crinkling, big pieces, but I like to cut them down. So this is a leftover piece. I usually cut mine down to like 6 by 6 or 8 by 8. I find that that helps with the foiling process. You know, sometimes my machine, it likes to crinkle things. So the less stuff that I have putting through my machine, the less room for error, for human error I have. So I cut them down into smaller little pieces, and I use up every little piece. So if I have a little scrap left and it's big enough to send this little tree through, I'm going to use it. Let's go ahead and foil now. This is the copper ripples. I'm going to cut a piece slightly larger than my card front. Again, that's just to avoid any kind of errors. I don't want to accidentally have my cardstock, or my toner sheet rather, shift in the machine, and so a little spot doesn't get covered. So again, just slightly larger. And when you're foiling, whether it's heat foiling like this with a laminator, or if you're using one of our gels like the Duo Gel, you always want the back of your foil to touch your medium. So what you're trying to foil, the back of your foil wants to touch that. Foil goes pretty side up when you are running this through your laminator. So I'm going to put that on, stick that right into the corner of this parchment paper. And then another trick that I like to do is just smooth that out. Make sure that there's no crinkles in your foil. There's a lot of questions. If you're not a member of our Facebook group, by the way, be sure to join us in the ThermOWeb Craft Room on Facebook. We give lots of tips and tricks on a lot of different things. So when you're foiling, you want your foil to be as flat as possible, because any crinkles in your foil is going to leave imperfections in your design, which imperfections are nothing to be ashamed of, but I'm striving to get the most perfect foil that I can. So I'm going to make sure that this is nice and flat, and I'm going to put this through my laminator. Every laminator is different, and every laminator has different spots on it that I call dead spots. So you're going to have little places in your laminator where maybe those rollers aren't pressing down as hard as they should be. It's just like your die cutting machine. You know how sometimes when you're running a large die through your cutting machine, and you find that maybe the middle portion of your die cutting machine isn't cutting quite right, so you stick to either the left or the right side of your machine. It's the same way with laminators. So I know where my dead spots are on my laminator. Mine actually is right in the middle. So I will go through, I usually start my foiling on the right hand side, and as this comes out the back, I'll show you what I like to do. First of all, I like to preheat my laminator. You want your laminator to be nice and hot. You don't want to leave it on for like an hour, but I usually preheat it for about 15 or 20 minutes. So I put this through just like this, face up. Now I'm going to take my whole sandwich and flip it, and I'm going to put that through the other side of my laminator. Again, I'm avoiding the middle of mine because that's where my dead spot is. But if you find that you get the best foiling results going right through the center of your laminator, that's where you want to go. Alrighty, let's foil this little Christmas tree here. I'm using an older Brutus Monroe foil. This one is, oh my goodness, I'm not sure if I think this is Red Sketch. Oh no, I don't think I kept that in my notes. Well, let's look this up really quick because this is a really pretty color. It's one of my favorites from Brutus Monroe, and I really love it. So I'm going to just get it. Oh, Red Static. I said Red Sketch. Red Static is what it is. I'm going to just cut, once again, a piece slightly larger than my Christmas tree. And you can see here that I have all kinds of wonky cuts on here, and that's because I used this for foiling my Christmas tree the first time, but I've also used this piece to foil little ornaments and stuff. I love this foil. It's a really, really pretty one. Let's see, our toner card front is coming out. So I'm going to set that there, and I'm going to pop my tree in. So again, I have my foil pretty side up. The back of my foil is making contact with that toner. I'm going to put that into the fold. I'm going to make sure that my foil is nice and flat without any creases. I'm going to make sure that my parchment paper is nice and flat without any creases. And I'm going to put that through my laminator. That feels cool. I always wait for my toner sheet to cool before I peel it back. And then I'm going to peel it back nice and easy. Oh, it's so pretty. And remember that you can always keep the negative pieces and do something fun with those. I'm trying to figure out which way is up, which way is down. I don't think it truly matters. Look at that. It is so pretty. I'm going to try to get close so you can, oh, you can kind of see over here. See that pattern from that foil? Oh goodness, it's gorgeous. And I love the way that foil pops against the red background. Super, super pretty. All right, my tree is coming out the other side, so I'm going to flip it around and do it one more time. Just to be sure that everything foils nicely. While we do that, let's get set up for the next step, building our shaker. So I'm going back to this Evergreen Builder standalone die set from Brutus Monroe. I've already cut the background for our shaker card from the largest die, but now I need to create that frame. And to do that, I'm going to grab the second largest die, and I'm going to stack these guys together. Now, these aren't really meant to be nested dies. They're meant to work on their own, so you can create a whole like forest of trees. But I figured they work well enough to stack together. I'm going to grab my purple tape, and I'm going to tape these two dies together. And that's how I'm going to create my frame. Okay. Great news. Here's our little background. So again, I'm going to peel this back. Oh, it's so pretty. I love this foil, and I love this toner sheet. Like I said, This pattern in particular, I feel like you could do so many things with it. I think they look like little sunflowers for fall. I think they could be obviously like little Christmas ornaments. I think they could be flowers. It could be whatever you want them to be. So there's my 2 foiled pieces. So since I have those done, I'm going to turn off my laminator before I burn myself and push that out of the way. All right, let's keep working on our shaker piece. So I'm bringing my Jackson baby. Again, I apologize. It's hard. He's 5. He just started school, and he's used to being home and being able to, you know, go outside every second of every day. And now he's in school, and they couldn't even like go outside and play today because it's hurricaning. I'm going to go ahead and grab a piece of flock for my frame for my shaker card. You can use just regular cardstock, but I find myself reaching for flock instead of cardstock a lot because it works. It die cuts just like cardstock, but it gives that extra something special. So I'm using emerald green. Jackson, thank you. I need you to take it down just a notch. I'm going to take my emerald green flock and I am going to just cut a piece, again, just slightly larger than what I need. I'll keep the extra, and then leaving those 2 dies taped in place with my purple tape, I'm going to run this right through my die cutting machine. And it's going to cut just perfectly, just like cardstock would. Now you're going to have this piece. Buddy, Jackson, come here, please. Mommy's trying to teach right now, so I need you to not hammer right now, okay? Please choose something else to do, something quiet. Thank you. Bye.
But just set up my...
Okay, so now I have, here's my little frame, and then I have this little piece here too. Definitely don't get rid of this. You can see that from when I did my sample card, well, I did, oh, here it is. I have that piece stuck in the back of my die packaging because I could use this on another project. That's a perfectly good tree. I just don't happen to need it for right now. I'm trying to decide how I want to create this shaker because you can definitely use foam tape, but I think I've thought of an easier way because see how skinny this is here? It's going to be hard to cut foam tape because you have to create a perfect well. So I'm going to have to, and it did take me a long time to cut tiny little strips. So instead, I think this is what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to leave these trees taped together, and I'm going to cut a bunch of white pieces of cardstock and create a well that way. I think it's going to end up being faster, and it's a nice little tip. So just keeping those dies. That purple tape will hold. It's going to keep on holding until I take it apart. And I'm going to cut, I don't know how many, maybe 5 or so. And that's going to create a nice little way to stack up and create a frame. I know it seems like it takes a long time now, but it did take me a long time to try to fit a whole bunch of tiny little pieces together of foam tape because this frame is so skinny. And I'm going to get to use my favorite adhesive more, my Ultra Bond adhesive pen. All right, let's see how thick these are all stacked together. That might work. I think that's going to be thick enough for some sequins. Okay. I think that'll be great. Here we are improvising in the middle of a live. Sometimes an idea hits me and I've just got to do it. Let's put, oh, you know what? I don't want to put that away yet. I need to cut a piece of acetate. So now I'm going to take this purple tape off. The great thing about the purple tape is it held up through all that cutting and it still doesn't leave any kind of residue at all on my dies. I need a piece of acetate to create this shaker card. Any acetate will work, but I happen to like the Brutus Monroe acetate sheets for a couple of reasons. They're cut to an A2 card size, so if you're creating a full shaker card, they are perfect. They're nice and thick and super clear. Some acetate that I've used, it's just not clear, so I do love these ones. And there's 20 in a pack, which is a good number, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and die cut this acetate. Grab my cutting machine once more. Oh, that's a horrid sound. It didn't do that last time. Oh, goodness. All right, I'm just going to pull that off. It does cut through quite nicely. You can see sometimes it gets a little bit, this is thick, so you just kind of have to wiggle it back and forth, but it die cuts nicely too. That's another reason I like this acetate. Now we can get this machine out of the way. I'm concerned now because my son went from being super loud to very quiet. And I don't know what I'm going to find when I sign off. It's always a mystery. Let's put those to the side. And actually, I want to work on my background because I forgot that I added another super special little element here. I want to go ahead and add some glitz glitter gel to the background. So I just have this falling snow stencil, and I don't feel like it's anything super special. There's lots of dot stencils, lots of falling confetti stencils, so use what you have. I already have some leftover pixie spray on the back, so I'm going to press that on. But if you're worried about that moving, I'm going to grab some purple tape. Perhaps I can see the edge. I just can't catch it. There it is. Press that on there. Remember, the new formula of purple tape is pressure activated. So I'm going to press that on there, and then that's not going anywhere. I'm going to grab my gold glitz glitter gel. And here it is. I'm getting low on my gold, so I'm going to use my palette knife to scoop some out. And just quickly spread that across the top. And then I'll come in with my stencil pal, so that I can evenly spread this across my card. I much prefer a stencil pal to a traditional palette knife because I'm very heavy-handed with everything I do. Ink blending, tape, and anything crafting, stamping, I'm heavy-handed with it. So I like this because it has this smooth, long edge, and I can just easily scrape this off, and I'm not going to get any divots in my design. Whereas if I was using a palette knife, I have a habit of pressing and digging at my stencil. And so sometimes I would end up with, divots. Just going to keep on cleaning up the stencil, getting all of that extra glitz glitter gel off. Now we can peel this back. I'm going to grab onto that purple tape as a handle and peel this back slowly so I don't mess up that design. Let's get that guy out of the way so I don't mess him up either. And I'm going to peel off that purple tape. Check this out. This will dry. This is a very small stencil surface area, so this glitz glitter gel will dry by the time we're done with our shaker card. But check that out. Look at that shine from that foil in the background, and then when you kind of turn it to the side, you can see that texture and added dimension from the glitz glitter gel over the top. Alrighty, let's set that to the side, and now I'll show you how easy it is to clean up with a stencil pal, another perk. I just like to take it and kind of just scrape it across my work surface. That was the doorbell. The UPS man is here. I feel like every time I come live, the UPS man comes. Gonna scrape that glitz glitter gel back into the container because you can use it again. Just because you took it out doesn't mean that it's gone bad or anything. And then wipe the lid of your glitz glitter gel. It's a very important step to keeping your glitz glitter gel good as long as possible. Any air will dry it out. So if you wipe the rim of your jar, it's going to give you a tighter seal. And then get that lid on there pretty tight. I wiped that off already, so that can go away. I'm going to wipe off my stencil pal, all just using baby wipes. You don't need to use any fancy cleaners or anything. It cleans up really easily. And then even on my stencil, I'm just going to go over with a baby wipe. Maybe. Like I said, I'm very heavy-handed. Usually I have a little bubble bath standing nearby, but I didn't get a chance to bubble bath today. So a baby wipe will work just fine. I'm just going to get all that glitter off. I heard somewhere, I took a class from Gina K, and she had said, she had mentioned that the glitz glitter gel is just a clear gel, and what gives it the color is actually the glitter on the inside. So I think it's so pretty when I have all this glitter kind of just left on my work surface, and I can just swipe that away. I think of it every time. All right, now let's work on our shaker. So I have these 3 types of pieces. I have those frames I created, which if you don't want to do this, you can cut tiny little pieces of foam tape. I have my acetate piece, and then I have my frame, and then, oh, I guess 4 pieces because I also have my backer. And I'm going to use my favorite adhesive. This is the iCraft Ultra Bond liquid adhesive. Now comes in a pen form. Let's grab a dry cloth. There we go. So I'm going to start with what's going to take the longest to adhere. And this is only going to take a little bit longer to adhere because I am gluing something onto a slick surface. So this frame, which we cut from that emerald flock, is going to go right onto this acetate piece. And I know that's hard to see because it's clear, but I'm gluing that right on top, and it's going to fit perfectly because I use that same die to cut these. I will set that to the side, and I'm going to put something heavy, like an acrylic block, on top of that. Now here's how I'm going to create my well. You can use foam tape, which is what I did on my first card, but I didn't get things lined up quite the same way. And so these sides are much thinner than my original design. So that's what made me think to go this way. I'm just gonna stack all of these together. I think I cut, did I cut 5? Yeah. So I'm just using my Ultra Bond adhesive, and I'm gonna go just all around this design. And I'm gonna stack these up. And again, because I use that purple tape to hold those 2 dies in place, these are all going to match up just perfectly. Each one of these die cuts is exactly the same. And I'm just going to use my glue and adhere all of these together. And that's going to create my shaker well, whereas a traditional shaker card uses foam tape. Now, if I had die cut these correctly, here's what I would have done. I would have used, which is what I did for this, I used my iCraft 3D foam tape jumbo roll. Love this stuff. And I used the 1/8 inch thick. Usually I use the 1/16 thickness because I like that for layering. I like to put a lot of layers on my cards. But when you're doing a shaker card, you want those sequins to actually move a bit. So that's when I use that 1/8 inch thickness if I'm doing any kind of interactive card, whether it be a shaker card or like a slider card, something where you need those pieces to pop up. I'm gonna use that 1/8 inch thickness. All right, so now I have all of those stacked together, and that's gonna create a little well. Now you could do more. Because we're live and I don't want to make you sit here, I might have done 10 if I wasn't live, but I think this will do the trick. The next step is to take this last piece, which is the frame and the acetate, and glue this right on top. So we're sandwiching that acetate in between all these little pieces and that flock frame. Jackson, you okay? What are you getting water for? Just washing your hands again. That's concerning. Anyone with a 5-year-old who you set them up with their iPad and they need to wash their hands, it's not good. Alrighty, so now we have this shaker well, and there is that acetate in there. And I don't know if you can see the thickness from stacking up the, there you go, you kind of can see that thickness from the die cuts stacked together. And this frame, because it is made of flock, is fuzzy and textured, so there's going to be all kinds of texture on here. Alrighty, let's grab some sequins. I just have, these are just regular gold sequins, and they are assorted sizes, so I'm going to try to grab the smaller ones, because there's some super, super huge ones in here, and I don't think I need those. Let's see. I want the smaller ones. Here's the problem with shaker cards. I always either underfill them or overfill them. Jackson, no hammer right now, please. And so I want to be able to see these shaking around, but I also want to be able to see my background because it's this pretty foiled piece. So I think that's good. I think I'm going to go with that. And then I'm going to seal this up. So I'll use my Ultra Bond adhesive pen again. And while we do this, I don't think I mentioned in the beginning, anybody who's joining me live today, you have a chance to win a fun giveaway prize pack from ThermOWeb. So here's how you win that. You need to leave me a comment. Any kind of comment will do. Your name, where you're from. Please don't step on that. I just need to know that you're here. So if I don't see your name in my chat, I don't know that you're here. Go ahead, you can wave, stick your hand in. You gotta stick it into the camera. Right in here. Say hi.
Hi.
You good? Mm-hmm. Okay. So if you want to win that giveaway prize, which I will go over in the very end, it's a prize pack you definitely want. You're gonna want to just leave me a comment. Alrighty, that shaker is filled up. And look at that. Oh, it worked perfectly. So there are 2 ways to do a shaker. Create those frames by die cutting pieces of cardstock and using your Ultra Bond adhesive. Or you can use the 3D foam tape. And both work the same. So it's just totally personal preference. And I usually prefer the foam tape, but I got a little bit too close. I didn't stack these exactly evenly, and I didn't think I was going to be able to get foam tape cut skinny enough to go down this edge. So that's why I kind of had to improvise. Improvising is always fun when you're live. Alrighty, let's finish this up. Okay, that's good. You good? You want to shake it? Okay, go ahead and shake it real quick. I'm going to grab my other thickness of foam tape. And, well, the front piece is missing. I usually keep that front piece and like just stick it on here because this is, but it's missing in action, but this is the 1/16 of an inch thickness foam tape. All right, buddy bear, I've got to put that on my card. Thanks. Let's bring in that background once again. That should be pretty, yeah, we're pretty close to dry here. Yeah. Glitz glitter gel never takes long to dry for me, and especially since this was not a large surface area stencil, it's not going to take a lot of time. Let's go ahead and pop up this tree using my jumbo foam tape roll, which is my best friend in my craft room. Let's get one more little piece right in the corner here. Peel that backer off, and then while I have my tape out, I stamped a sentiment strip ahead of time, and I'm going to cut just a tiny little strip. This is what I mean. I would have had to cut my strip even thinner than this, and I don't think I could have done that. I'm going to cut that right down there, add that, throw that piece away, and then we're just going to stick this onto our card. Let's see. I want to get that as centered as possible. I think that looks good. We're just kind of eyeballing. It looks a little wonky because I die cut it a little wonky, but my friends and family know that I hand make every single one of my cards. So whenever somebody says, oh, it's a little wonky, should I send it? I say absolutely yes, because you put time and effort into it. I'm going to then stick that sentiment on top, and we are finished with this bright and spirited happy holiday card. Is that straight? We're gonna call it straight. So there we go. This is my original. This is my one that we just made live today. Start to finish. Really no prep or anything. So 45 minutes it took to create a cute little shaker card. I think it's so adorable. Let's bring that up to camera so you can see those foils. So this is I use the copper ripples on here, but you can use the pewter ripples. That would be really fun if you did like maybe a blue or purple background and switch the color scheme up a little bit. And then this is from the Floral Fantasy, this background toner sheet from the Floral Fantasy Brutus Monroe toner sheet set. And then Really Radiant is in the background here with that red. And that Brutus Monroe foil that I used on there is an older one. That's red static. Perfect, isn't it? Okay, so while I go over the giveaway, you have one last chance to get your comments in so that I know you're here and I can randomly choose a name. So if you are randomly chosen today, you are going to win as a goodie pack both of the Brutus Monroe foils. So let me see where I put mine, because we only used one. So you're going to win both the pewter ripples and the copper ripples. You are going to get all of the toner sheets. I'm going to grab the 8.5 by 11 because they're right next to me. But there are 8.5 by 11 and A2 card fronts. And you're going to get both packs. So both the Floral Fantasy and the Really Radiant in both sizes. So a total of 4 packs of toner sheets, 2 8.5 by 11 and 2 A2. You're also going to get one big, huge, mega roll of foam tape. And you can pick which one you want. These come in 1/16 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch thick, and they come in black and white. So pick your favorite, and you're going to get to pick which roll of foam tape you want. Also, my favorite, the Ultra Bond Liquid Adhesive Pen. And the Memory Tape Runner XL, which is, when I use a tape runner, this is the one I use. This has, let's see if I can show on camera, it has like a little swiveling head, so you can go around corners with this. So it's a really, really fun goodie pack. You definitely want it. So last seconds to get your comments in so that I know you're here, and then I'm going to go through and pick a random commenter, and you're going to win this big old goodie prize pack. So let's see. I have to pull up my random generator. Okay, it looks like Denise Bryant. You are the winner. Congratulations, Denise. So you need to email Julie. I'm going to pop her email in here. Let's see. Okay, so it's under my name, like my actual name, Lynnea. Is what I just commented as. You need to email Julia with your name and your full mailing address, and also you need to include which jumbo roll of foam tape you want, because there's 4 different ones. So congratulations, Denise, and I want to say thank you to every person who was here live today and who watches on replay. I'm going to grab my calendar real quick because we're going to be back here in a couple weeks. I'm back on Wednesday the 15th, so 2 weeks exactly from now, and the time did change. Like I said, my son goes back to school. He is just doing like a couple hours right now. It's an early readiness type of thing, but he officially starts on Tuesday, which means I won't be able to be here at the normal 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern time. So we're bumping that back an hour. So our new time, Wednesday the 15th, is going to be 12 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. So I will see you guys in 2 weeks. As always, I will, as soon as I'm done uploading this video to YouTube, I go back and I pop links to everything that I used in this video in the video description. So if you're watching on replay, or if you want to just wait a couple minutes and specifically shop the products that I used in today's video, you're going to be able to do that. So that's it. That's all I have for you. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you later. Bye.